In this episode, we're going to do a tech breakdown of Cosm, the immersive sports venue. Then we're going to talk about ChatGPT's new operator and deep research features.
And finally, VideoJAM, a new model that enables more realistic physics on existing video models.
All right, welcome back to the podcast, everyone. Got some cool stories to break down this week. We're recording this Friday. We're going to talk about Cosm, the very interactive sports venue, because this is a good weekend because it's Super Bowl weekend, but by the time this airs, the Super Bowl will probably have already happened, but still a good time to talk about Cosm and a couple other stories we got on our radar.
Yeah, you know, a lot of the sports industry is colliding with what we would call traditional M&E quite a bit more. We're seeing that with Amazon hosting the NBA now. Netflix doing sports now, and so Cosm falls in line with the lines blurring.
Yeah, and just a new interactive experience. So Cosm, I've described it sort of as a mini sphere.
Yeah.
It's basically a immersive dome, sort of like a planetarium, which actually their origins come from planetarium companies, and they play sports broadcasts. All sorts of games, NFL, soccer, UFC, in this huge immersive dome, where as a spectator, you're in these very comfy seats, but it feels like you are literally on the sidelines at this game, and sometimes I think a larger than life experience.
Have you been?
I have not been. There are two locations. There's one in Dallas and there's one here in LA.
Should we go together?
I would down to go, yeah. Cosm.
Maybe they'll give us some free passes.
I'd love to do a behind the scenes tour too.
Cosm team, please hook us up.
Down to go there. This first came on my radar. I think I was scrolling through TikTok and it was like a video and it's like, this is the ultimate way to watch a game. And it looks like a real life thing. And then you see them pan and you realize, oh, we're in a studio.
And then halfway between the pivotal moments in the game, the camera will switch to where it needs to be. So you're not at a static point of view the entire time.
No, and so the tech is very interesting. So I guess let's start with the broadcast, the actual how do they get the broadcast part. Deals aside, so I mean they have deals with NFL this year and UFC and a couple of the other major leagues, and they're not just getting the main broadcast feed. They have their own. Partly they have their own proprietary cameras that are very wide angle.
It's not too dissimilar to the Sphere, where they have their own proprietary cameras.
Right. Big Sky was that special one they developed. Yeah.
I think it's 16K.
Yeah. So they don't need that crazy resolution, but they need the super wide angle. So they have a 360 degree camera and a 210 degree camera. And so they'll be at sort of strategic points like midfield or the end zone to get those very wide angles. Because my first thought was, when I saw this, I was like, oh, that's cool. But if they're just playing the TV broadcast on a massive, there's going to be crazy motion sickness.
Yeah.
And so they don't. It's
on a tripod.
Dedicated cameras, locked off angle. So you're either at a really good view, like if you're like at a really good seat in the arena.
Yeah.
And for like UFC, they have cameras like mounted on the cage with like a very wide shot of like on the pillars. So you're kind of just seeing the whole cage. So the camera for the big screen, as far as I can tell, it never really moves, and I don't think it'll just make everyone super sick.
Yep. Not a good recipe with food.
Yeah, which they're serving a lot of food. So they have their own special cameras, their own special feed at these games. They're stitching them together with their own proprietary stitching software to make a seamless feed that they can project onto their dome. And then they also have another patented technology that's a picture-in-picture effect, where in cases like, oh, we want to see that replay or something happened, they'll put in a box in a picture-in-picture on the big wide shot, the actual TV replay. So it looks like a big TV.
It's better than real life.
It sounds
Come on,
yeah,
man.
I mean, you're like inside, you don't have to worry about weather. You're getting, I mean, their big thing is they serve like really good food.
Yeah.
You're in very comfy chairs.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, it's where a lot of the movie theaters went to a few years back. It went super premium, and now it's that movie theater thing colliding with sports.
Yeah, exactly. That elevated experience. I mean, but also you still get that same, it gets you out of the house. You have the same sort of communal aspect of being with other people and cheering.
People in uniforms.
Yeah. You're like, you have the same camaraderie. With anything now, like community events are kind of going to buffer against so much.
Our Zoom call and our remote work.
Zoom calls and everything. Yeah, from before of just like, wanting to get out and be with other people. And just having that shared experience with AI and other tools potentially taking over, like, I don't know, more rote tasks or anything, like having that communal experience.
Yeah, I think it's a push and pull, right? We're being pulled into this really digital life with the metaverse and Zoom calls for work and, AI doing automated tasks. And then the pull is No, you're going to go, mingle with 1,000 other people that are rooting for the Chiefs or whatever.
And you're going to this very immersive experience.
Yeah. So I think we're going to see more of that. Technically, what's really interesting to me is the live broadcast of such high quality, high resolution content with low latency.
Yeah.
I did some work early on. There are dedicated broadcast hardware encoders. So one of the companies that makes it is High Vision. They're a company in Montreal. I think you know them.
I've seen their stuff, and
it's pretty high end. It's pretty expensive.
It's very expensive.
So what they do is low latency encoding. So within, I think, a sub frame, under a frame, they're just like taking this raw input from feed and then encoding it into whatever format, JPEG 2000, MPEG 5, and shipping it out. So from the YouTube videos, from the TikTok videos that I saw of Cosm, I think they're at an 8K transmission.
Yeah. So the other camera partnership they have, I didn't mention, they have their own cameras for the super wide angle, but then they also have they use RAPTOR V with the 8K live feed attachment. So like I think it's part of their sports attachment bundle that Red is getting into, and it gives out a raw 8K feed that they
shout out to the Red team. I love Red equipment, and the team is amazing. So 8K transmission, low latency in a sports environment, whether you're in a hockey field, stadium, what have you, that's not easy.
Yeah.
And they figured that out.
Yeah. And I was thinking too, they have to take their feeds, which I assume they just control the whole pipeline, and the broadcast feed and synchronize them.
And there's probably a motion graphics layer.
Yeah, and I believe that part is added with, they did mention Unreal Engine is used.
Of course.
So that was not the one non-proprietary thing that I sort of saw with the name brand mentioned.
Yeah, Unreal has Avalanche, or the new motion graphics engine, which is now becoming more and more commonplace in places that were previously, tied to VizRT or ROS or some of the OG broadcast motion graphics.
Okay. But I guess from a broadcast perspective, how important is the latency in the sense of, I feel like it's more important to make sure everything's synchronized and then just get streamed in sync to the venue. Because even when I'm watching broadcast TV, I'll have many times where my phone will ding with the score update before the broadcast TV update, before it actually plays out on the TV I'm watching. So like there's always like a 20-ish,
20 seconds?
Maybe
is it that might be 2-3 seconds.
Really, from even on a broadcast where like with do they have a kill switch on sports games? Like, I mean, they have a kill switch on
like live news is 7 seconds, I believe. That's the buffer.
Okay,
yeah.
So I mean, I imagine there's got to be
let's say under 10 seconds,
right?
So that's still plenty of time for you to stitch and compress and then send over the pipe.
The Cosm feed is pretty similar delay as a standard broadcast feed.
I would imagine they would want to have as much delay and buffer as possible so you have the highest quality, right? Because it's probably transmitting over dark fiber. And dark fiber tends to be like instantaneous. Like if you go over public internet, it's like, 200 milliseconds or half a second, whereas dark fiber is like in the single digit milliseconds. So they probably have that you can buy dark fiber from your venue to wherever the game is. And if you're charging people money for the seats, I think that can go into the cost of that.
That would make sense. But I mean, also, I guess they're going from the venue to their production center in Salt Lake City. To
you can make that hop.
Dallas and LA.
So that would make it even easier. I'm just totally speculating here.
Yeah, these are all guesses.
If they have the Dallas venue and the LA venue, that has a hard line to their broadcast center in Salt Lake. And then they're just buying the line from Salt Lake to wherever the game is. And that's a temporary buy, right? You just buy it for the day or the week.
Okay. And so going deeper into dark fiber, so there are pretty much dark fiber connections.
Yeah,
at most everywhere ish. You
so
can just
license
the usage of it.
Yeah, one of the companies that do this really well is a company called The Switch. I believe they're here in LA. So you can go to them and say, "Hey, I want a 1 gigabyte line from LA to New York for this thing for 1 week." They're like, "Okay, it's I'm just making up $100,000. It's something insane."
Yeah,
they're like, "Okay, cool, let's do it." I think they have a competitor called Packet Fabric. That's another one. There's a few of dark fiber people that are around. And of course, the companies like Netflix, Google, Apple, like they have their own dark fiber. They just own it.
Like, that's what
Fascinating world.
if we're going into the venue itself, I don't know the panels that they're using, but it says it's approximately 87-foot diameter LED dome with better than 8K resolution, often cited as 12K due to the over 12,000 pixel span across the dome's width.
Mm-hmm. Gauging from the size that I see on social media, that is just enough pixels. Just enough pixels where the people in the front row can't really see the pixels.
Okay, that looks sharp.
Yeah,
enough.
yeah. Like I would say, my guess was it's a 16K raster, so you get an 8K transmission, upsample it to 16K. That's how I would do it. But 12K is like a happy medium.
Yeah.
Because like if you look at VP stages that are 87 foot wide, 12 to 16K is normal. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then you get into the extra large stages that are quadruple, like 32K and so on. The Sphere is, I think, 36,000, something like that. It's insane.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like this is where your AI upresing is like in this case, they have AK Raptors and are able to get an AK feed. I'm guessing their proprietary wide angle cameras are also AK. Or multiple cameras that they're stitching together. Yeah,
not just stitch, but you have to unfisheye the fisheye, unwrap it, and then you probably want to do a denoise pass because these are real cameras with not the best lighting conditions. Mm-hmm. So you might see some swimming grain in the shadows that you want to get rid of. You probably want to do a color grade pass for the panel. So there's a lot going on. I'm guessing that from the acquisition to pixel.
Taking out the warp from the wide angle lens though, but then do they have to add a certain amount of warp back into it because when you project it on the dome? So
yes, absolutely.
It looks normal, quote normal.
Yeah, if you think about it geometrically, you have a fisheye lens, which is a curve, but then that curve is baked into a rectangle as it ships out because it's a frame. That rectangle comes back in and you have to once again, apply a curve so it matches the physical dimension of the wall and the physical curve of the wall. So it's like unfisheye and then re-fisheye, if you will.
Yeah, right. And I'm guessing that's probably where, because they have some patents on the picture-in-picture effect. I'm guessing that's where the patent maybe comes into of displaying. They have their curved live raw feed and then the picture-in-picture of the broadcast feed.
Yeah.
But having that distortion work out so it doesn't. So the broadcast feed looks probably normal square, but it's projected on a curved surface. So I'm guessing that's where, because I was like, patent on a picture-in-picture effect. How do you have that? I'm guessing it's something around that.
Exactly, yeah. So you're taking a rectangle on a curve, and then you have to wrap the rectangle around the curve. The advantage they have is I'm guessing they own the glass and they control the glass at acquisition, and they obviously know the shape of each venue, and every venue is probably the same shape. So then the mapping, you can theoretically do the mapping at acquisition, so you don't have to remap it later, because you already know what your end destination is.
Right. Okay. You already know what it needs to look like.
So so you can apply all that in one pass, and then it just comes down pipe, goes onto the LED wall. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy we're talking about now. It's just like how much tech is probably going behind the scenes to make this experience as seamless as possible.
And the fans won't even know it. They're just eating their buffalo wings.
Yeah. I think elevated
wings.
In that Saturday morning clip, they had a big focus on like, we want like local, really good, high quality food, which made me very hungry watching it.
Yeah. The chef was making Korean nachos because we're in LA. Yeah. You know, we have a Korean Mexican fusion. I was like, yes, that's very LA.
So yeah, I mean, interesting with that angle. And then they also, I assume also just to, monetize the venue when there's not a big sports game going on, they sell tickets to sort of these specialty made short films for the venue. So one was called Cosmic.
Like Darren Aronofsky's film at the Sphere.
Yeah, like Darren Aronofsky.
That's just like native in that format.
Yeah, that they have something to play when it's like, we're not doing a big venue, but people want to see the Sphere, and or we also want to make some money when the space is dormant. They sell lower cost tickets to just watching this movie, like a planetarium.
Like an IMAX.
Like an IMAX at the museum. which again, yeah,
they're
background is
hitting that
planetarium.
middle market really well, because you have Sphere on the high end and IMAX at the low end. Low end meaning like us consumers, $20 tickets, and then Sphere is like your $1,000 tickets. They're hitting that middle market really well.
The Sphere is so massive and such a huge infrastructure project. This is like much more reasonable.
And also the Sphere, they really have to think about, selling 10,000 or however many seats every time.
In that thing that's going to pack
that, right? Where these guys have to probably sell a few hundred seats, I'm guessing. One market to think about where the Sphere has gone is they're doing a lot of corporate and branded things inside. So at CES, the Delta keynote was there.
Clips of that was wild.
Yeah. But that's like the Fortune 50 companies, right?
That costs a Fortune 50.
Yeah, that can afford it. That can afford this
not even just to rent it, but to also build all of the graphics,
make the content for it for the Sphere
special wall.
Right, that's some big baller stuff.
Yeah.
So what about Spirit Airlines? You know what I mean? Like, what about all the airlines? Southwest. I think the Cosm venue would be perfect for some of those lower tier airlines
as like an event space or something else.
Yeah, or brands. Or, if you want to hold your annual keynote for, I don't know, I'm just naming out like Jerome's Furniture or something. And you only have $20,000 spend, not $2 million spend. Maybe the Cosm is for you.
Yeah. Either there or that. I don't know if it's both venues, but I know the LA one, they also have a separate kind of more traditional sports bar area with like a big LED wall.
Yeah.
Where they do sell tickets to that, but it's also more of a traditional sports bar with those big screens.
Yeah.
And so it's another way. I don't know too if they just keep the restaurant open on non-sports days. I would assume so too. So it's like,
oh, I have another business thing for you.
Yeah.
The Sphere does raves really well. Like the last one is Afterlife or Anima, I believe it's called. So it's like a DJ in the middle and everybody's just like kind of pumping their fists, sitting down.
Good fit for that.
This Cosm could totally be that.
Yeah.
Basically just take the Sphere's business model, downsize it for the lower tier market and do that.
Yeah. Going back to the specialty films they made, one is Orbital. They kind of run that throughout the day. They could see. Another one's Inside Pop Art. I couldn't find out what cameras they were filming with, but I did see they run it there, but then they're also, I think they produce these films. They're also eventually licensing them out to museums.
Okay.
Or planetariums.
Yeah.
Which cool. Another kind of content creation.
So it's probably going to end up as a standard 360 or 180 film. Nothing proprietary.
Yeah. And I feel like it also opens up the Cosm, the venue itself, and potentially having more types of venues like this. Basically, you're creating a VR experience that can be shared, and you don't need a headset, but the tech behind producing stuff like that still applies. And so, especially with like the upcoming camera, the Blackmagic Cine Immersive, which was sort of touted as a camera for shooting content for Apple Vision Pro.
Yeah.
But it was like, that seems very specific.
Has the stereo.
It has stereoscopic lens. Yeah, it's the 17K body that they announced of the URSA Cine 17K. We talked about the 12K a few episodes ago. That same body with that same sensor with a stereoscopic lens and a pipeline that connects with Resolve, so you can kind of do the whole stereoscopic pipeline.
Totally makes sense.
But now instead of Apple Vision Pro, seems like a limited market. It's like, I'm excited to see other venues and outlets where you could still shoot something that is a 180-ish, 270-ish immersive video, but have more venues that you could play it at.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of our viewers are wondering why you need that insane amount of pixels on 180 or 360 footage. You got to keep in mind when that thing unwraps, and it's going to unwrap around, lots of pixels. You're looking at a portion, like if you're looking at a tree, that could only be like 100 pixel wide, right? Because you're taking something that's meant to be a rectangle and stretching it all around you. So you're going to need quadruple times the number of pixels or whatnot.
You need.
Yeah.
The 17K.
Well, that's why it goes to
even if you're finishing at 8 or 12K.
Exactly. And the driving plate stuff that's done in virtual production, a lot of times they're stitching multiple 6K cameras together to create like a 16K, 20K image. You do need that many pixels.
Yeah.
Because when you unwrap it, you're only using a portion of the frame. Yeah.
Millions of pixels.
Yeah.
Billions
Billions
of pixels.
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's sort of the tech breakdown from what we could find out about Cosm. I definitely do want to check it out.
Yeah, let's check it out and maybe do another episode once we've experienced it. We've come back here. We could talk about it.
And maybe we could talk to Cosm too.
Yeah. And give us some free seats.
Yeah, I mean, it is a premium experience. Super Bowl ticket, the one that I could find that was still available this weekend was $1,200. It's a premium show. But the UFC ticket, there was a UFC decent seat for about $150. Which is
there Ticketmaster fees on that?
Ringside seat. They sell it directly, so I don't think they have. Hopefully, there's no Ticketmaster fee.
Okay.
And I mean, arguably your seat. I mean, the cameras are on the ringside, so that's you kind of can't even. You can't really get seats.
The UFC fight at Cosm sounds awesome.
I would say that. Also, I mean, Super Bowl, you can kind of watch that anywhere.
Yeah.
UFC, the pay-per-view is like $80.
Right.
So
you're another 80 and now you're eating and watching.
Yeah. I would definitely watch it there. Yeah. So cool. Cosm. We'll check it out.
Let's check it out. Yeah. What's next?
Next one, I want to talk about my experiences using two new features from OpenAI in the past few weeks, ChatGPT Operator and Deep Research. So ChatGPT Operator is a way for OpenAI, ChatGPT to go on the web and perform tasks as like this is sort of the AI agent in action that has sort of been a buzzword for this year. It is a kind of a version of ChatGPT, and you say, oh, go do this thing, and then it loads up a very sandbox version of I believe it's Microsoft Edge. So it's just a web browser. It can't do any computer tasks. It's just in this very kind of sandbox version of the internet, and it can do things. It has some built-in tasks that were sort of like with some partners like DoorDash, and so you could like order food, Instacart to be like, oh, go get me groceries.
Okay.
I didn't use it for that. I wanted to put it to the test and see if I could have it do film production related tasks.
You just went all in.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, whatever. Like DoorDash, that doesn't really excite me.
Yeah.
I want to see if it can help me like do film related tasks.
Okay.
So I got a video up kind of my thought or of how the process went, but the gist was, on some things it performed really well and way better than I expected. And then on other things that I thought it would be fine at, it didn't do so hot.
Okay, give me an example of the where it lies flat.
Well, let me tell you where it did well, where it was surprising.
Okay.
I had a few tasks where I was just like, in the same ballpark of, go find me, I need to rent a 6K camera, like go rent a 6K camera. And another one where it was like, I need to find a mid-century house in LA for a film shoot, go find one.
Oh, okay. Just like that. Just like
I kind of kept it vague and see what it did.
Order.
And you can see the little agent then go and do things. One of the complaints for people was like, oh, well, like I could do this faster, myself. And a lot of things you could, but you don't have to be there for it.
Yeah.
So like it'll start to go do its thing, and then it'll come back and prompt you if it reaches a stopping point and it needs your input. So you don't have to sit there and watch.
Also, you could do it at scale, right? Like if you have 10 productions and you want to find 10 homes in different styles.
Yeah, and I did find out because I was like, oh, can I run multiple agents at the same time? And yeah, you can just start a new chat and the other one will still keep doing its thing and it'll pop up if it reaches a sticking point.
I was just thinking 10 different computers, 10 terminals.
Oh, no, I'm like just 10. Keep open
10,
more tabs.
Okay.
So the rented camera worked really well. It automatically went, because in my mind, I'm like, well, I'd probably go to like lensrental.com because that's the easiest and you can do it online. It went there and it found like the Blackmagic 6K, which was like, yeah, probably the most no-brainer. And then I was like, find me a lens, like a wide angle lens for this. So I kind of gave it some vague terminology to be like, how do you handle this?
Yeah.
It kind of cheated because Lens Rentals has a lens category called wide. So it went to the wide category, but I was like, all right. And then it gave me 5. I think I maybe asked it like, what are 5 lenses I could use wide angle? And it gave me a list of 5.
Yeah.
But it didn't, at first it gave me a list of like 5 lenses, but they all had different mounts. So they wouldn't necessarily have worked with the Blackmagic.
That's exactly right. Wide lens means so many things.
Yeah. But also I didn't specify, it didn't verify, the 6K is an EF mount.
Yeah.
I need to find an EF mount lens.
Right.
But then I'm like, check which of these will work with the camera and tell me which ones will.
Yeah.
And then it did, and it successfully did narrow it down to the Canon EF mount lenses that it suggested.
Way. Wow.
And then I'm like, okay, go book that for me, and it did that. And
wait, go back. You said book it for me, and it booked?
Well, okay, so it added it to the cart, and then I was like, oh, I need it on this day. And then it realized it's not available that day.
Yeah.
Because Lens Rental had an error. And then I said, find the first available date it is.
Okay.
And that one, it actually clicked on every date and going in order until it found a date where it didn't have an error message. And that was impressive, where like it found the first available date.
That's something a human would do.
Yeah, something a human would do.
But maybe not every date. It'll like look at the calendar and pick the date.
They won't tell you.
Yeah. Okay.
Lens Rentals won't tell you. Like, you have to click the date you want it.
Wow.
Because you click the date, you're like, I wanted it to arrive on this day. And sometimes it'll be like, blah, 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 gear is not available until blah, blah, blah. So it figured that out. It added it to the cart. And then once you start getting into territory of like logins or payment info, it'll give you a prompt and be like, hey, you need to take control, put in your stuff. And then it gives you security warnings like, we don't monitor your screen when you take control. We don't save anything when you take control. Okay. So
I was wondering about that. It's like, give it to the credit card and then...
Yeah, so I logged into my account and that has everything saved. I didn't go through the final order, but it made it through enough where I feel like it would have successfully placed the rental order.
Right.
With a few, times of me interjecting.
Okay.
So pretty successful on that test. Similar with finding location. At first, it actually found a website that had dedicated rentals of like mid-century modern houses in LA, but it was like fill out an information form. I was thinking of it going to PeerSpace, which is
PeerSpace is like an Airbnb for locations.
Yeah. And then I prompted, go to PeerSpace and find this. Okay. And then it did find a place and check the dates. And then I gave it some more parameters, like I needed one where I need to shoot 10 hours, but I needed to be under $1,000. And it found a house that was mid-century modern that when you put in the 10-hour shoot day, it was under $1,000.
In PeerSpace,
which gives you that info.
Man, that is impressive.
I was really impressed with
Given the first version of something like that?
Yeah. And this is to note, so like they're not the first to offer a computer controllable version of their model, but this is the easiest. So it's only available on the Pro plan, which is their $200 a month plan.
Yeah.
As of right now, but I didn't have to do anything technical. It was like as basic as the regular ChatGPT interface.
Yeah.
It just loads this little extra screen that is a little mini web browser and like starts doing the thing. Claude and some other models have computer control things that they release, but you have to like install Docker or like run a terminal. It's a more technical thing to load it. And I've messed with the Claude one. It's really expensive. It's like $1 a minute or so.
That sounds like long distance calling 20 years ago.
220.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, did you have your AIM moment? Can I explain what that is?
Yeah. What is that?
Okay. AOL Instant Messenger. You remember it as a kid? Yeah. So this was like 97, 98. The first time I turned on AOL Instant Messenger and go into a chat room, meet some stranger. And then the first time... hello, how's it going? Like my first message, and then ding, like the reply comes back, and I just realized like we're gonna be messaging and texting each other through the internet. And fast forward to text messages today, and social media. But like at that moment, I realized what the future is. Did you have a revelation like that with Operator?
Yeah, it was impressive. It wasn't super mind blowing. I'll tell you where the other thing. I had a more impressive
go for
revelation. Well, let me finish with Operator, and then we'll talk about the other feature.
Yeah.
But, it worked really well with those. Where I got hung up on was food orders. I tried a task of like, I gave it because it had a DoorDash integration, so I was like, all right, we should be able to handle that.
So you tried DoorDash?
I don't think I specified. I think I said I need to order lunch for 10 people, but then I gave it some like meal requirements. I'm like, 3 are vegetarian, 1 is celiac, so it needs to be gluten-free. Mm-hmm. And it kind of found a place-ish. It took a while. It did find a place, and it sort of found a dish that was maybe gluten-free, but I was like, no, it definitely needs to be gluten-free. And I kind of got hung up on that, and I kind of keep looking at other restaurants, and then I was like, just forget about the gluten-free thing, and then it just got cheese pizza. Technically fit the vegetarian
I've been on
requirement.
set and had many pizzas. That's pretty standard.
Crew won't be happy with you, but
that's interesting, because you would think it's more geared for regular consumption than film consumption. So like it would be better at doing day-to-day stuff like groceries and Uber Eats.
This would be a no-brainer
than like renting lenses.
Lens rental. Yeah, I thought it'd be better. And also because they have partnerships with these companies already, because some of the walls I hit, a lot of companies now don't like AI robots going on their website. Shocker.
Oh, that's a thing already.
That's already a thing. Yeah. So these companies, they already have agreements. It doesn't violate any of their terms of service. So that's why I thought like, oh, it would work well. It did not work that well on DoorDash. But I hit walls like, I tried another task of like, transcribe this YouTube video, which is probably the most expensive, worst way to transcribe a video. But I was like, let me see what it does.
Yeah.
And it can't access YouTube. YouTube blocks it.
Okay.
Reddit will block it. Reddit doesn't want anything scraping its data anymore.
Yeah.
I even tried with the video, like to give it a Frame.io link. Wouldn't load, wouldn't work.
Oh.
It can't download files because it's just a web sandbox web browser. So I couldn't download any files.
Yeah.
I could open up and log into like Google Drive and have it load up a spreadsheet. So another task that was pretty successful was I had to go to Envato and be like, I create a list of links to modern background music options.
Okay.
And then it went and searched, it found the thing, and then it copy and pasted the data to Google Sheets. And that was surprisingly successful as well.
How fast is it?
It's not that fast, but you don't have to watch it.
Oh, okay. So set it and forget it.
Yeah. And then it'll pop up with a Chrome notification of like, if it reaches a sticking point where it needs your input, it'll be a pop-up will happen and be like, hey, the thing needs your input again. But you don't have to, it's entertaining to watch it the first time because it's like a little robot trying to figure out what to do, but you don't have to be there for it.
Okay.
So definitely a human would do this faster, but you don't have to watch it.
So it's doing kind of what Google AI Studio is doing, where it's like grabbing the screen and then using computer vision to see what's on the browser.
Yeah, because it takes screenshots along the way, and you can see a little outline of like what it thinks, what it sees, and what it is interpreting of what it sees. So it's just taking like screenshot.
Yeah, my guess is the next version of this and how it really will be more responsive and maybe a little bit better at like downloading, and is when it becomes an application on your OS. So if it's like a Mac OS app or a Windows app, and then it has full control over keyboard, mouse, it has the frame buffer.
Third-party companies of this where that sort of exists.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously...
browser is just the start.
Yeah, there's a lot less you can mess up on a browser. Once you start giving it full control of your computer, then you're like
oh!
Pandora's box.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, that is obviously where things will go.
Yeah. I mean, there might even be boxes like the Project Digit, the NVIDIA box, like where it's just like for this purpose. Like it's just meant to be an agent and nothing else.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And it's doing a lot of the AI computation on board, so it's more responsive.
I mean, at its core, what this thing kind of really does is it sort of creates a API for any website that might not already have it. It's not the most efficient, and I have tried to have it do things that there is not an API for, that I've already tried to do things with like Zapier, because I use that for like a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's still kind of sort of understood what I was trying to have it do, and kind of sort of didn't. So it was like, it's definitely the future. It's
okay. I have a prediction for the future. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So right now we all have traditional computers, right? Like you're running a laptop here, I have a desktop there. We're going to get to a point in the future where we're going to have two separate hardware units. One is like a purpose-built AI thing running alongside our traditional computer. And that'll be for a few years. And then we're going to switch to a completely AI-specific hardware. Like we're not going to have a Windows box per se anymore. It's just going to be this AI agent that's the operating system.
So what does that look like? I mean, are we like just talking to the computer, or are we...
I think there'll still be keyboard, mouse, but yeah, you'll definitely have...
The keyboard purists, the keyboard mouse purists.
Yeah, you can still prompt and text, but then it would just be so much easier for you to just talk to it, or just have the webcam on you and you can gesture to it or whatever.
So Minority Report.
Yeah. With AI.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we're going to see an arc like this, like in the middle, we're going to have two computers, kind of clunky, and then we're going to get to that final AI computer.
So basically in Minority Report, instead of Tom Cruise manually having to scrub through the footage to find the clues, the AI just analyzes the footage and is like, here's the location. We already found the slip of paper on the mailing address on the envelope in the background.
Your car's GPS is already routed to the location. It's like, you should get in the car.
Robot sentinels to intercept.
We already have our guns pointed there. Yeah.
I'm just going to go off on a tangent on Minority Report because it's always bothered me. So much of the tech and stuff was cool, but the 6 sticks this where they would zap the people and make them like throw up always seemed absolutely ridiculous, because I don't know any cop who would want someone they're trying to arrest to start uncontrollably vomiting everywhere. Like, it's such a biohazard.
You can slip and fall and hurt yourself.
Disease, infection.
It's
like,
gross.
That part I'm like, I don't think
the throw up stick.
The throw up stick, like the magnetic car, seems more plausible than cops wanting to make people throw up on them.
I would imagine like non-lethal weapons, like excruciating sound.
Taser. I don't think tasers were as big when that movie came out. I mean, tasers are kind of what.
Taser is a non-lethal weapon. That part, maybe they needed to consult law enforcement more on that stuff. They just kind of went
with a lot
with
of futurists.
They went with the
movie.
Isaac Asimov novel. They just went.
Are 6 sticks in the novel? I never read the novel.
My guess is they probably just went with what's in the book instead of,
it'd be cool. just
throw up stick.
A cow prod, but you just vomit everywhere.
Yeah, that's something you don't pair with AI, because an AI will not feel pain.
Also, I'm not even focusing on the idea of precogs and predicting the future. The 6 sticks, the future thing seems more realistic to me than 6 sticks.
So I think the precogs is maybe perhaps AGI model.
It's not going to be a mutant baby.
And also, I don't think the predictions are 100% accurate, so the law enforcement people will take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, it's probability.
Yeah.
It's like in season 3 of Westworld, which
yes, I did not see that.
No one watched, but
lost me after season 1.
Bring back season 5 HBO. Just give us the final season.
No, I can't believe Barry ended.
I never watched that one.
Oh, what a classic on HBO.
Forget things. All right, million tangents.
Deep research.
Yeah, ChatGPT Operator, impressive, but deep research was where I really had a this is crazy moment. So deep research, another tool they came out with that's also just on the Pro plan, but this is the first feature. I got the Pro plan because that was the only way you could access all of Sora's features, which I've not really used. Deep research has been the first one where it felt like, the Pro plan's actually worth it, the $200 a month. ChatGPT interface, you give it a prompt and you click on this deep research button. And then it comes back and it asks you follow-up questions.
Okay.
Which normally it won't do unless you'd say, ask me clarifying questions in your prompt. And then you clarify, and then it runs off and analyzes the web, analyzes papers. You can give it papers too. And it took a whole 10 minutes of
it's doing
research,
a lot of
scraping
stuff.
Current web and stuff. And then it's compiling it into a super long document that my stuff's been between, 4,000 to 8,000 words.
Yeah, you sent me the virtual production one.
Yeah, I was like, make a thorough guide to virtual production.
I enjoyed that one.
Yeah, with options for entry level, intermediate, professional levels, and budgets.
Nailed it.
And it even found some pricing stuff. You said the pricing was a little off.
Pricing was a little off, and those are always difficult because manufacturers don't like to release
especially
pricing.
At the enterprise level, that kind of stuff, where it's so different between customer to customer.
But it totally nailed, for example, I saw the camera tracking section. It was iPhone is a starter thing, and then it goes down through Moses and everything else that's a little bit higher end. I was like, yes, exactly.
90% of it was if we were doing a thorough guide.
Yeah. It had a section on Disguise. It had a section on Unreal and all the competitors and
all the different components you need to think about. Image processor,
LED tiles, pixel pitch, paragraph on pixel pitch.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, that was oh man,
that is worth.
And
it.
I've been seeing some people, or even Dharmesh, who was the co-founder of HubSpot, who posts a lot about tech and AI and stuff. And he's like, I messed with this. I asked it about launching a CRM company, which is HubSpot.
Okay.
Or give me a deep dive research into the industry. And he's like, it gave me ideas and things that I hadn't even considered.
Wow.
So that's been impressive. And I'm trying to think of what else can
you do? Thing. Yeah. How do you squeeze it to get value out of it?
Yeah. I mean, basically it's sort of like a consultant analyst.
How about what about this podcast? Can we find out more podcasts like this and kind of see?
I'll give it a prompt. Let's do a deep let's do a SWOT analysis, marketing strategy. Let's see what it says.
Let's do that.
I'll run that.
And we'll take it with a grain of salt.
So for that with the next, all AI things, you got to it gives you sources, but you got to double check your sources. It could hallucinate. It could, I feel like this is just good practice with any AI tool of don't take everything at the surface.
So does it feel more usable than Notebook LM? Or is it
it's
different?
It's totally different. It's a good, actually, so behind the scenes, I used it to do research for Cosm and about the stuff.
Okay.
and it gave a big report. And then it wasn't Cosm-ish, but I've fed other things into like Notebook to help summarize. But Notebook's also good for like asking follow-up questions.
Yeah.
The deep research one, the one thing I have gotten a little bit stuck on is didn't give me what I wanted on some things, or went a little like, or went more info. Asking a follow-up question, sometimes it's not quite clear if it's starting a new chat or if it's sourcing the info that it already found so I could ask it more questions. That part's a little fuzzy of like, you gave me the big report.
Yeah.
I got more questions.
Yeah. So how do you follow? How do you keep going?
Yeah. So because OpenAI has to update this, but there's a Canvas feature in OpenAI, which is sort of like their coding / text editor. So it's like you can kind of keep an ongoing document and the AI chat can reference it. So like if you need to update a section of a document, it can go in the Canvas, update that one section instead of recreating the reply. But the outputs from deep research are too long for Canvas.
Yeah.
So if I'm like, oh, move this to Canvas, it's like, this is too long. We can't move it into Canvas. You need to make your thing shorter.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's the output you just gave me. So the output's too long for their own tools.
I still love the fact that OpenAI and Anthropic and these big AI companies are still in the phase of productizing ideas.
Yeah.
They're going to be revenue driven like everybody else. And like the fact that they have this product called Operator and it does this and it's $200 a month, like that's pretty cool, because we're just kind of done with the initial look at this cool thing. And now we're like, okay, how do we make this useful for people? How do we actually make money from it and add value to people's lives? And I think this is the most interesting phase. And this is something that will be our lifetime. And, within our lifetime, we'll have gone through and productized the things that need to happen. And then the next generation that is normal for them. That is status quo.
Yeah. Yeah. I have wondered, if you're like kind of growing up and you're growing up in school around these tools,
right.
Like we're at this sort of age where we have the base knowledge to kind of question things or like question the outputs. Like if you're kind of up and coming and you just sort of take these outputs at face value, you don't have the other background knowledge. How is that going to play out? I've been wondering this for a while.
Yeah, when ChatGPT first came out, my first question was like, what does that do for like high school exams and high school papers and stuff like that? Because as a kid, I remember, I'm sure you remember, that was the struggle, right? Like, how do I write a 10-page essay on the Roman Empire?
Don't go to Spark Notes. Like,
right.
You're not allowed to go to Spark Notes, kids. Like,
yeah.
Write your own papers.
But like,
you go to Spark Notes and paraphrase it sometimes. Here
is the pro and con to that. Like, the pro is, if a kid uses ChatGPT to write the Roman Empire essay, does that make them more acclimated to AI tools and better set up for the future? Or does that completely take away their learning experience and makes them useless in the future?
Right. And that's a question I've been wondering about. I mean, remember when this first came out and hearing kind of like ideas of flipping the teaching methodology of like, maybe you do the learning at home and then you're in class and you do the writing, where it's a little bit more controlled.
Yeah.
Or figuring it in tangent, like, okay, how do I use tools? How do I use it to like brainstorm and generate ideas and then take that, whatever inspires me and then go run with that to create something else.
Like to me as creative technologies and for us, tools are everything. We are at our best when we know how to leverage the tools around us to its best. Mm-hmm. And so do you train a kid to be like that? Or do you train a kid to think critically and just go back to the basics and figure it out on their own?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or maybe it's somewhere in the middle. And just like the one note I have about deep research is I'm sure OpenAI is just very research heavy at the moment. A lot of researchers. Mm-hmm. And I feel like they just built a tool that they recognize and then can use, right? Researchers would create a deep research tool because they don't want to have to go through all these papers themselves.
Maybe I should ask deep research how to refine their naming scenario. Because right now there's like 8 different models from OpenAI and I don't know what does what. So maybe they got deep research to clarify their naming conventions.
Sure.
And roll their models into one. Yeah,
I think there has to be like an AI product naming committee because a lot of these products are just like the name is not doing it justice.
I would probably see changes to that too because by the time this comes out, we'll have the answer to this. But OpenAI is supposed to run their first commercials and they're going to run it during Super Bowl.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Wow.
So definitely talking about productizing the stuff.
Wow.
Definitely another big push into
That's
the
huge.
consumer-facing world.
Wow, what a world we're living in.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I always see Claude, even at the airport, I kept seeing Claude advertisements, but it was a little bit weird because it's like, I don't know, like, unless you, like, I know what it is.
Yeah.
I'm like 0.1% of people who probably knows what this is, like in the world of like,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to like,
You,
tell
yeah,
but,
you
like,
would just think it's like
we're
another
very nerdy,
Siri.
techie people, like no one, who knows what Claude is if you're like a regular. It's,
Sounds like a personal
person.
assistant thing.
Yeah.
You're like Siri or Alexa or one of those, like, oh, what's another cloud?
yeah.
Yeah.
Claude. And third story, we gotta have a little bit of AI video model stuff here. Well, it's not really a model. So VideoJAM.
Yep.
VideoJAM is it was a paper that came out in partnership with Meta and University of Tel Aviv. It is basically a way to just improve the motion in video output. So a lot of issues, you make a video and then it kind of looks good, and then someone does some crazy weird thing that is completely unnatural and does not make any sense.
Yeah.
VideoJAM can work on top of additional existing models or existing training sets, data sets. And it basically verifies, in my simple explanation, which is probably lacking a lot of technical detail. So its big thing is inner guidance. And basically, as it's generating the output, it's not just looking at each frame and making sure each frame looks good. It's kind of trying to gather the perspective of like the frames around it, of like, does this motion make sense?
Right.
And in the samples from their paper in the demo, they have samples of like outputs from an existing data set and then just running that same data set through VideoJAM. And the sort of physics are just like light years ahead of like squishing a ball.
Yeah.
And like in the one output, it's just
Cutting
sort of like
sushi.
merging. Yeah. And theirs, it's like, it looks like very squishy ball. Sushi.
Yeah.
The other one, the knife is like floating in front of the sushi and makes no sense. The other, and their output, the sushi is being like perfectly cut into like sashimi slices.
That's so cool. I wonder how they're doing it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
It's a difficult problem to solve, and I think we covered this on the eyeline research episode.
Optical flow is another factor in here too, which we talked about last time.
Yeah. You would need many more things other than optical flow. My guess is it's feeding it still image references as well, every other frame, and there's probably a dependency on past and future frames as well. So yeah, I think that's where a lot of the AI innovations are happening. Is you have the big foundational models, and then you have you can do text to video, but is that video any useful? And so now we're seeing AI innovations in retooling stuff that already exists.
Yeah, or using this. I mean, it's nice too. I think this maybe, from my interpretation, kind of ties into the ideas of DeepSeek that was so like interesting, where it's like, oh, we could do something cool, but for a lot less money, and a lot less hardware. And this thing too, where it's like, oh, okay, from my interpretation, you don't need to have you don't have to go source another like million videos to have a whole new training set. You could use the stuff that already exists. Just how it's generating the output can be tweaked using this, I don't know, like a filter.
Yeah,
like
exactly. No, I mean, let's make an analogy that maybe you and I can get our mind around. Like, you have cameras out there already. So the first wave was like, a red sensor came out, a RE sensor came out, whatever. Now there's all these like converters that do SDI to HDMI or record RAW to, SSD and things like that. So a lot of the peripheral stuff is coming out. A lot of the accessories are coming out to really cater and custom this thing that is just unwieldy, if you will.
Yeah. So like a output plugin.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's an interesting world we're living in.
Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah, that's pretty much all I got for today. Fun as always, Addy.
Yeah, looking forward to having you back. And we're a brand new podcast, so please support us on Spotify. If you leave a review, a 5-star review, that goes a long way. So we'd really appreciate your support in this early phase. Thank you.
Catch you in the next episode.
Peace.